Fairhazel. We're here to talk about my song, Submarine.
This is the
Imagine.
fourth time we're filming this video, and each time I've messed something up, and I didn't record the audio last time, so I'm treading on very thin ice.
So thin. It's so thin.
If I get this one wrong, I think it's divorce.
Divorce.
So
Straight up divorce.
bear with me. But yes, we're here to break down my latest release, Submarine. And Danielle helped write and produce it, which is why up here it says Dan's version.
My version.
Because much like this video, I went through 3 other versions before landing on the correct one.
Seems to be kind of a trend.
It seems to be a trend.
Lately.
So I thought it might be fun to just dive right in and listen to the previous versions of the song, or at least snippets of them. So this is version 1. I was playing drums. We were recording drums in the bedroom, and it just didn't have the right vibe.
Drove your car up to the carnival, bought a ticket for the win. As you're spinning,
Yeah, just very simple.
Yeah, all falsetto.
Very standard.
I wanted the drums. There's a song called Happen or Let It Happen by Nick Hakim. Let it happen, let it happen. And the drums are really cool.
Yeah.
And I was going for that kind of drum vibe, but turns out I can't play drums very well.
Well, I think it's like you can play the beats well.
Right.
It's just hard to record drums.
It's hard to record drums.
It really is, especially, I mean, the space has to be so well suited for the sound. Like, in our main recording room, we've got hardwood floors, and we usually find really good sound in this room. But drums, I think, were recorded in the day room, which is carpeted. It's just hard to record them, especially if you don't have, like, the full mic setup.
Yeah, we only
to
had
do
2
it.
mics.
So it was like, it's like a valiant effort, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things, but because it sounds good. I think, like, if you isolated out just the drums, like, they sound good. But yeah, it's like so interesting to go back and hear this
Yeah.
first version. That's
Didn't
crazy.
work. And then this is the second version, which is like a more muted vibe, which I kind of
Yeah.
am into, but
Yeah, very low endy. Yeah, I can get jiggy with this one.
I don't know those vocals. Oh yeah, I think they're coming up.
drove your car up to the carnival, bought a ticket for the win. As you're spinning out and upside down, you felt the side.
Yeah,
It's like
such a different
The
vibe.
cigarettes after sex
Yeah,
version.
yeah. Very like soupy. And then this
Yeah.
was third version.
This was third. I think this is close to what it is now, but just not quite the same.
Drove your car up to
Key change.
Key change.
bought a ticket for the win, and he got a brand new car, drove it into the lake.
Just doesn't have any energy, that one.
You can immediately tell though, like the key change. It's so important to mess around with keys of your songs. Like you might write in a certain key, but even that's like proof right there. Like that key is so much better than like, the original one.
I do
So
hope
that was the point at which you were ripping your hair out, didn't like it, had to call in a professional to come and help. Totally understand.
So then Danielle had helped me write the chorus outside of all this, but then I called in Danielle on her hotline, and she came in and helped me make this track. So I think let's listen through the whole of the song as it is currently stands.
And just really quick, I can't remember if after that third version, did we completely start from scratch, or did we go
I think we kept the
from
guitars.
just the guitars,
Or
I
some of
think?
them, not the chorus guitars,
Yeah.
but maybe some of the verse guitars.
But you like fully started over multiple times, and it's like that it's a really hard thing to do. But yeah, let's listen to final version, Dan's version.
Okay.
My version.
Drove closer to the sky. At the top it seems to pause for you. Wipe the tear from your eye. And he got a brand new car. Drove it into the lake. Turned it into a submarine to make a great escape. And he left a shining star way up in the sky. It'll always be waiting there across the great divide. Drove your car out of the carnival. Stopped where rubble met the road. Swore that something up there shined for you. Swore you felt her come and go. You said right now I can't feel anything, but somehow I feel fucking everything right now. I can't feel anything, but somehow I feel fucking everything. And he got a brand new car, drove it into the lake, turned it into a submarine to make a great escape. And he left a shining star way up in the sky. It'll always be waiting there across the great divide.
Okay, cool.
So good.
It sounds
Ugh,
nice.
that ending is one of my favorite endings ever of any song ever.
Nice.
It's so good.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess a few things before we start looking at individual elements, just like how it was done. So we have a studio here in our kitchen/living room. Everything was recorded one thing at a time, and pretty much everything was recorded with this Vanguard V4 large diaphragm condenser microphone. It's not sponsored, but that we just love them so much. And then guitars were recorded with a Vanguard V1 condenser microphone. These microphones from Vanguard Audio Labs are incredible.
Yeah, they're just hot. They're spicy. They're it.
They're it. They're
just it.
so hot right now. And they are just so crisp and so
Yeah.
clear, and we've put them up against Neumann's, we've put them up against all sorts of mics, and nothing ever sounds as good as them.
Yeah.
You use them for everything.
I do. It's funny because like for vocals, I think we lean
did
towards
these.
the SM7Bs, which just for the sake of ease, I think these are just so good, and they've got the filter. With vocals and the Vanguard V4, I love the way my voice sounds on it, but I have to have like a pop filter. It's so intimate sounding. It picks up every little noise, and I think that's why it's so good. Even the V1 is so good for guitar. It just really
So
captures
detailed.
like all the character and the little touches. So I think everything literally but vocals was
Everything
recorded
but vocals.
on those.
I wanted to, for the whole album, which is coming out this year, I wanted to keep a consistent vocal chain, and I wanted to have everything be the same, so like all the acoustic guitar sounds the same across each track, more or less, because in the past it was just like pick and mix. So all the vocals for all the songs were done on this, and the only other thing that wasn't done here was that we sent the drums off to our friend Henry Hawk in LA, and he recorded drums in like 2 seconds, perfect, no notes, which I don't know what he used, but that was at his house. And so the signal flow is that all of the mics are going into a Tree Audio Branch 2 channel strip, This is like the best thing on earth, in
It's
my
so good.
opinion. It's a channel strip with 2 band EQ, a high end and a low end kind of Pultec-y thing, a limiter, and that's it. And it's tube, and it sounds so good. It's what I'm coming through right now. And then I think everything was just done one by one through that.
Yeah.
I can't recommend that thing highly enough.
Yeah, it's so, especially speaking as someone who gets very, very confused by like layouts of channel strips, plugins, like the visual look of it's so simple and easy to understand. I think like there are some times where I'm like it's just like there's too much going on in a channel strip, and this one it's very like simple. Like you said, it just has what, compression, EQ,
That's
like
it.
but the nice thing about this preamp is you make a slight adjustment and you really hear it. I think it just, this one, and it's a bit of an investment, but I think it's one of those ones where it's like you could replace a whole rack with just this.
It sounds so good.
Just this channel.
And we're
It's so
rarely
good.
recording anything more than one mic at a time, so it's just like perfect for what we need. So everything's going through there, and let's dive into the actual track.
Do it.
In order of how things were done, we started out with guitars, and I think it's safe to say for both of our projects, your friend Juniper, Fairhazel, we double track a lot. Everything. So
like everything.
Everything. Ready?
Do it.
3, 2,
2,
1.
1.
Everything. Stereo. And so we double tracked acoustics, and the goal with our double tracking is not to get the two sides to be 100% spot on, perfect, in time with each other, aligned, microphone exactly the same position. I think like by having contrast and having ever so slight variations, even in mic placement or playing style,
change it up.
It gives contrast and it gives width.
It's so good. I even like it when like change it up. I love it when we've recorded left and right guitars and there's even like, let's say you're like following a strumming pattern and one side kind of goes off a little bit, or the picking pattern. I just think it adds like a lot of width and depth without you having to then add that in post. I think it's like everything that we're going to talk about is so geared towards having to do as little editing in post as possible. And it's like sometimes, like I even know, I think for this album there were times when I was like cooking in the kitchen over there and you had like your SM7B over here recording final vocals just freehand. So it's like it's one of those things where you can be so meticulous about a setup and get a good sound. Then you can also not be very meticulous. Like we don't really have too many. We haven't treated this room.
No.
We have a couple sound panels I think we used around recording guitars and things.
But we're not even sure we used them properly.
And the room, it just sounded good. And I think like we started off with those guitars, and I feel like the next thing after we like laid those down was that little riff.
Yes.
Oh, that is one of my favorite things. I remember hearing that in my head, and then when you played it, I was like, oh, it's exactly, because when you hear something in your head and then it's like you can't quite place it. Those were some of my favorite additions, and I think those were like pretty right away.
So let's hear
it.
The intro here. So here's our double tracked acoustics.
Yeah, you even hear
and
just,
little variations.
Oh, and it's not. It just makes it nice. I think it's like if you even really quickly put one of these into mono, soloed it, and then put it back. You know what I mean? Like that is just, come on. That's the difference right there.
And the processing on that, there's no processing on each individual side, but on the bus as a whole, and this was fairly consistent throughout the whole of the record. And I'm on Reaper, by the way. Reaper. Best DAW. So the acoustic guitars first went to this plugin called P42 Climax by Pulsar Modular.
You love plugins.
I was trying to get away from the UAD Spark ecosystem because I was having issues with the connection and like having to be on Wi-Fi, and they wouldn't always log in, and I just don't want a plugin that I have to log in for. So I have been exploring a lot of more affordable, like smaller company plugins, and this is by far one of the favorite things that I've found over the last like few months. What this is it has like an EQ, some basic EQing stuff here, and it just has this saturation knob that adds the most glorious saturation. So I was using this in this case to add some air, some high-end frequency, and to give some saturation. So here's what it sounds like without that. Everything was very subtle, all the moves were very subtle, so it might not sound that crazy different, but this is without it, and when I check this on, it's with it. It just like brightens them up.
Yeah. No, you can hear, I think it's like, and it's something that we do every single time that we're recording, is once we've made kind of like a stack, a plugin stack, and you're like, okay, I'm done editing this, it's so important to go back through and do the exact test that we just did. Because I had my eyes closed, and sometimes we'll do like a blind test where it's like, this is clicked on, this is clicked off, but the person listening doesn't know. Because sometimes even just like the visuals of seeing it clicked on and off can like trick
you can
your
be
brain.
really easily
So even
tricked.
that blind listen, I closed my eyes and didn't know when you were going to switch it on and heard it immediately. So I think it's like definitely go in and listen, because you want to hear it. You want it to make a difference. Otherwise, there's really just like no point.
And sometimes you start adding so many plugins, and then you add plugins to undo what you've done with the previous plugin.
Yeah, it's just,
and then
it
you
can
realize
get crazy.
the raw thing sounded fine. And then, not relevant in this intro, but there's a compressor that the vocals are sidechained to, meaning that anytime the vocals are singing, the volume of the acoustic guitars is getting dipped down so that the vocals can, since they're kind of fighting in the same frequency space, so the vocals can have a little bit more dominance. So if you watch here, this will show you how many dBs it's dipping by during the vocals. You can't hear the vocals, but you can see there that that's the volume of the guitar going down when the vocals hit.
And it's something you can do with EQ that you should do with EQ in the beginning, is like creating that frequency space for every single instrument.
For sure.
So you can do things like go into your, and I'm sure we'll look at like an EQ as well that allows you to do that. So it's like there are manual ways to do this, but this is a really easy way where it actually like
compresses,
automates it along with the song, so you're not having to do that like manual automation. So this one's really, really great for that clarity.
And then there's a Pro Q4 EQ, just taking out some low end.
I love EQ.
You do love EQ.
EQ is everything.
And then an LA2A compressor. This EQ that's in mid-side mode, meaning I'm affecting the two side channels and the middle separately. And all this is doing is adding some more sparkle to the side guys, so that it feels a bit wider. I'll play this on and off. This probably will be even more subtle. If you're in headphones, you might be able to hear that. If not, maybe not. Doesn't matter. But it did what it did.
Makes a difference.
And then another EQ for some reason. But I like how they sound. And then we also have these epic parts right here.
Yes.
And so what these are, the main one you're hearing is this. And then on top of that, a layered, doing a simpler rhythm. And all together. And with the acoustic. Lovely.
Yeah,
And
that's just good.
yeah, I remember the intro was like unclear what the intro was going
Yeah.
to be, and then you were like, these need to be in the intro.
And it was just you on, I can't remember if you were
It was on
like,
a Gibson
That's
Les
right.
Paul Studio going into your Helix pedal board.
yes.
And there was like a room and a phase, because there's no plugins on these, that's just how they were recorded. There was like a phaser and a room reverb, and I was muting, and that was going into a Dodd iSit amp, which is a random like cheap amp, and we recorded that probably with a Vanguard or maybe with this actually.
I think it was most likely the Vanguard
Vanguard.
that we had on the amp. Yeah, these turned out so well.
And yeah, they just needed
These
nothing
just-
else to have that vibe.
Yeah, and I almost like as soon as we added these to the intro, I was like, this needs to almost be like the thematic motif
tag,
that comes
yeah.
back in a song. And that even like throughout an album, like that's even like an easy thing. It's so good to have like something that kind of comes and goes,
Yeah.
because then it's this cute little reminder. And I think this comes back in a couple different parts.
After the first chorus.
But yeah, this was just one of my favorite things because it did sound so good raw. Like this is
Yeah.
great example
Of
of
it
just
just
set
sounding-
it up in the beginning so
think
that you don't have to really do anything.
The only thing on
Yeah.
all of the guitars is just taking out some low end.
Crazy.
And then similar, so then in the verse, the acoustic guitars have their own bass, which is just a little bit less bright, I think, or more bright. I can't quite remember.
I
Oh, a
think
little bit less
it's
bright.
a little bit less bright because I think it was that the verses, you want the vocal to really stand out in the verses, and they should always be a lot simpler than the
Excuse me.
choruses. And so I think, what we did is separated the tracks so that in the verse, when there's really just mainly vocal and guitar happening, the vocals were sitting nice on top. But then it's like if you kept this same processing for the guitars in the chorus, they'd get lost.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's so good. Like, split your tracks up. It doesn't how you can definitely process every single part. You could split it up millions of ways. You could
times.
have the second verse have a completely different sound if you want. But yeah, this just helped it to kind of open up. And you don't hear a very you don't hear a
No,
difference.
no.
It
It's
just
nothing
is-
crazy.
yeah.
And these guitars are also going to that other bus I showed you, but
Yeah.
they're before they hit that bus, they're going to this bus that has a Pro Q3, taking out some high end, because I think Pro Q4 came out halfway through when we were working on this. So sometimes there's a 3, sometimes there's a 4. A distressor compressing them down a little bit more. Another P42 climax for taking out some high end and adding some more saturation. And a little Pultec thing adding in some more high end. So who knows what I was up to.
Just go by your ear, I'd say,
Yeah.
honestly. And like do the test. Like add something, do the test, go by your ear. And I'm such an advocate of like, I know a lot of people when they're editing like one instrument, they tend to solo it out and edit it. And I'm like gonna be here all day to advocate for editing it in context, or at least make sure to test it in context. Because something might sound a certain way soloed, and you're like, oh, it sounds best soloed this way, but then you put it back in the song and it gets lost, or it doesn't sound right. So definitely, like, I would edit in context, and we really made a point to do that, and I think that's why this song has such a like nice cohesiveness to it. But yeah,
I agree.
so good.
And then vocals, same principle. So every time I do vocals, I'll do one strong take in the middle and 2 much softer performances, left panned, hard left and hard right. And so the vocals all together sound like this.
Drove your car up to the carnival. Bought a
If I take out
ticket
the middle
for
one,
whip.
you'll hear just the side guys.
As you're spinning out and upside down, you felt the sorrow really hit.
You don't really hear them when the main one's in, but they add texture and like some space.
I think they just like widen
Widen
them, and
it.
it adds just like an atmosphere, or it like fills up the panning space nicely.
For sure. And a few things to note about the vocals. For some reason, I was being like really S-y. And so there's like a ridiculous amount of de-essing efforts on here it's still too S-y to my ears, even though it's released. But it is what it is. But if you can see an S if you didn't know in the wild. So this is an S here. Like this is a normal waveform of normal vocals, and this is an S because an S is it's ugly.
It's horrible.
Because an S is so like high frequency, fast wavelengths.
Yeah, you struggled with these
Fast
S's.
frequency. Yeah.
You just
So
did.
I clipped them out manually. I brought the volume down. I put a de-esser on the individual clips. But then as we look at the vocal chain, you'll see that I've got like 25 more instances of de-essing and it's still too S-y.
And what made you do all of that instead of just go back and re-record vocals?
I just couldn't do it less S-y.
Yeah.
Even sometimes when I was speaking, like the other day when we were at a cafe, I was like listening to myself and I was like, I'm too essy. I need a
S's
de-esser.
are really powerful sometimes, and that can be dependent on the mic as well, or how like closely you're singing. Because I know we tend, especially with these, to sing quite intimately because you want those sounds. But then that's kind of that's kind of the pros and cons list of that. Is you're gonna get those mouth sounds, you're gonna get those hard S's, but it's so nice.
Yeah,
it's so nice.
And a few other things. Philip Weinrobe, he's a producer who produced Adrian Lenker songs, Theo Katzman, Be the Wheel, and many other amazing records. And in a podcast that I was listening to interview with him, he spoke about how in the studio he will have like everybody time, not like to a manic level, but if there's a guitar player who's going to click on a guitar pedal, he'll ensure that guitar player clicks on that pedal in time with the rhythm of the song, so that every little noise that's happening serves some rhythmic element. So in line with that, with my breaths, I tried to breathe when it could complement the rhythm. So like instead of just like random placing of the breaths. So if you hear, it's not that crazy, not like crazy, but if you listen to the breaths, they are somewhat on a beat or around a beat.
So you're getting on the Ferris wheel to get closer.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know what I mean?
cool.
Yeah,
It's like a
and
cool
it doesn't
element.
sound unnatural.
Yeah. You were getting so down with the nitty gritty. You're so detailed. You just think of everything.
And another thing, not to ramble on for too long, but Susan Rogers, who is a legendary producer who produced Prince and is just like a genius, she went on to study neuroscience, and I listened to a lot of interviews with her as well, because she just like studied the brain and how it responds to music. And one of the things, and I might not be getting this perfectly on the money, but one of the things she said that was incredibly interesting was that she put some people in an MRI, consenting adults, in an MRI, and she played them a track with vocals where the breaths had been taken out, and then the same track where the breaths were left in. And people's like emotional response in their brain lit up more, way more, significantly more to the ones with the breaths left in. And a few things on that note is that I don't like to take breaths out. I don't think it sounds right. I hate comping with a burning, burning, burning passion. So, I mean, I'm still comping in a way, but the way I would do vocals is record full takes, not even do it section by section, record full takes until I have one that's as close as it can possibly be, and then go back in and overdub a few lines or punch in a few lines if need be, which is comping in a way. But there's no way in hell you're going to find me with 25 tracks of vocals being like listening
like
to which one sounds best.
I feel like that's an effective way to do it though, because you are essentially comping. You're just doing it in the moment. I tend to like that. Like when I vocal produce with other artists or I'm like recording other artists, I will tend to really push for that. That like, let's record even if we have to do it section by section, let's record this. And if it's not it, delete. Don't
keep lingering around.
I'm like, why are you letting this like take that you don't even like sit there? So I will so be there, because I know even like I can't remember what interview it was in or what it was a part of, but like even like Phineas and Billy were going back through one of her recent releases, and her vocal take that ended up in the final thing was a comp of 86 different vocal takes. It was almost like every word was a different color. It was like cheek, 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 cheek. And it sounds great. I mean, like, obviously Phineas knows what he's doing with
Worked out for them.
Right? But I think, like, in the project, you saw the stack of...
Can't be bothered.
And I will agree with that.
Serious.
I think that you should comp if you need to, because auto-tune, don't do it.
No.
Don't do it. What do we say?
Don't do it.
No,
well,
auto-tune
sometimes
is like...
You can do it if you want.
You can do it if you want.
But I think
right?
the same. I'd rather hear a vocal that has slight inconsistencies in the pitch, that has character.
Yeah. Who's the only person who's allowed to use auto-tune?
T-Pain.
T-Pain. You can do it, T-Pain.
Yeah, if you're watching.
But no, it's just with the vocals. I think like it's an effective way to do it, where you kind of go through. You do full take. You're listening. You're going. don't love that part, redo it and do it then and there. Because going
Get it
back,
over, yeah.
going back, if you've already done vocals, going back, even same mic, same room, same voice, it's gonna sound different.
Sounds different.
It's gonna sound different. So it's like, get your vocals done
In one
foul swoop, but leave character in there.
Yeah.
Like, I think people get too obsessed with things sounding too perfect because that's how it is in pop music. No breaths. Like, if you go and listen to every top 10 Billboard, there's like no breaths. There's no character really to it. There's,
Quantized
you know, it's
everything.
like everything sounds so clean and great, but it loses that sense. And I think like that experiment right there, you'd probably find that with like songs that have a bit of that juice, have a better response. They make us feel something a little bit more, rather than it being like, oh, this is what I listen to while I'm like cooking, or what, like, it's kind of background. Like it like causes a physical reaction. And I think that's like the biggest thing that you should aim for anytime you're going through recording a song is feel something. Like, I almost aim to want to feel something every single second of the song. Like, going through the intro, like, if you don't have literally a physical response, it's not there.
Yeah.
So I'm so there to like make it what you want, but I think that like strive for like absolute perfection with like pitch and everything,
Don't bother.
don't bother with
My
it, like,
favorite
you know?
Ben Howard recording is like a live Spotify session thing he does, and like in the intro he's playing some crazy complex guitar thing and he messes up and he like laughs a little bit because he messed up, and it just like adds so much like humanness.
It's so
and
good.
Also I highly recommend on YouTube, Reason, the DAW, put out a video with Toro E Moi, I don't know, about his album Mahal, which was a big inspiration sonically for this album. And they go through and they listen to everything, and the drums soloed are like so out of time and so like badly played almost. No offense, but in context you would never hear them as out of time. They're just like so groovy and they have so much character.
In context.
So stop quantizing your drums as well. In context.
Yeah, let's listen to some more stuff.
So this is vocals. This is the vocal chain.
Stop giving away.
This is the vocal chain that was fairly consistent throughout all of the tracks on the record. I can see you at my peripheral, you little pest.
You're a pest.
You're pest.
You love the Fab Filter Pro DS.
This was my second instance of de-essing after the individual clips. This just takes S's down when it hears them. This is a new favorite plugin.
Kazrog!
This is an MHB Green by Kazrog. Kazrog makes amazing affordable plugins.
Look at how beautiful it is.
This is an emulation of something from Michael Brauer's studio, I believe, some kind of Soviet-looking creature. That sounded insulting, but it wasn't. No, like, because there's like Soviet compressors and stuff. And this is just a very warm, like limiting compressor, and I just love the sound of this. I was going for like a kind of distorted, clipping, warm vocal sound. So this is without this compressor.
As you're spinning out and upside down,
And with.
you felt the sorrow really hit.
Just gives it a little bit more of a
so
saturation. There's this warmth knob that adds warmth. It's gorgeous. I'd recommend this highly. That's going into another Kazrog plugin called True Iron.
Kazrog!
This is a transformer emulator, and I put this on everything, everywhere, all at once. And it's so good, and it just adds some saturation, and it just makes things loud in a nice way. Then another instance of P42 Climax from the same as that was on
You're
the guitars.
obsessed.
I love P42
You're literally
Climax.
obsessed.
This is to take out high end. I wanted to take out high end from lots of things so that the digital high end, there's too much high end I feel knocking about in general.
Yeah.
And it's time we take it away. So this is taking out high end. This is adding some saturation. Bleep, bloop, blap. That's deactivated. There's an EQ taking out more high end, doing a little kind of brutish EQs, and then another de-esser in case any more S's have emerged. And then the side guys, these guys here, I did something I really like with these. First of all the side guys were always being compressed by a distressor. The phase will come into play later, but the side guys,
Drove your car up to the corner.
for all the songs on the record, I found this amazing hack which you can steal but if you do, I'll kill you. Which is to send the side guys to this plugin I found called Kelvin by Tone Project. And on this preset called Overdriven Megaphone, I'll just play you without the overdriven megaphone effect. It's just like a megaphone effect, but it adds so much texture in the ears. So this is without.
Drove your car up to the carnival.
Cleaner, but then this is with.
Bought a ticket for the win.
And in context of the song, because context is
Key.
in context of the song, those side guys having that texture is so nice and like adds an ear candy. And I'll put it in a different section.
Drove your car out of the carnival. Stopped where rubble met the road.
And it just adds some scissors in your ears. Sizzle. Okay, so that's vocals. What else do we have to say?
Oh, I definitely want to make sure to go through all of the midis that we have.
Oh,
the
yeah,
toy
let's
boxes.
do it.
That was probably my favorite part of, because we added these all at the very end. This is what we tend to do, is lay down the track and then we pull out the MIDI, the keyboard, and just go crazy. And there is one specific plugin that is so good called Decent Sampler.
Yes.
And remind me, there's like a specific website that you can go to actually download sounds onto it.
So you download Decent Sampler.
It's
free. Decent Sampler. It's like imagine like a box of cookies. It's the box for the cookies.
Yeah.
Right? Then you go to pianobook.co.uk.
To the cookie store.
To the cookie store where you get for free. It's a free cookie store.
Wow.
You get free cookies. But
all different types. Chocolate. Peanut butter.
Ultrasound.
Lemon. I digress.
So, okay, basically, though, you do get Decent Sampler, a free plugin, which is like a host for sounds. Pianobook.co.uk, a website created by former Spitfire founder, I think, potentially disgraced, potentially not. I apologize if that's slander on thy name. But people upload sounds of things they've sampled. So it'll be like, Little Jimmy's gone and sampled his grandma's piano from his childhood house, and it's out of tune.
Little Jimmy has gone and Little Jimmy.
Little Oliver Twist has sampled some tin pans off of the streets of 1800s London. But it is, and people sample all sorts of crazy things, beautiful things. Sometimes it'll be like, hey, I'm at Abbey Road and I'm sampling this amazing grand piano. Sometimes it'll be like, there's a piano one in King's Cross Station where... So in King's Cross Station in London, there's like pianos you can play, and somebody sampled it, but every time you hit the notes, you can hear the chatter of the station behind you. So gorgeous. Yeah,
anyway, it just has everything.
Everything. So what we're using here from Decent Sampler first is somebody sampled their ultrasound, or probably like I can imagine it's like a husband who's like, he's like, babe, just like while we're doing the ultrasound. Do you mind if I just bring up a few mics?
Like, I just need to. He's like got his headphones. And he's like, I just need to record this really quick. Excuse me, doctor. Could you just play that back really quick?
And everyone's like, oh my god.
Literally an ultrasound. It's so cool. Like we've used other plugins like Analog Lab, and there's like the BBC Symphony Orchestra, the Spitfire. This one we just go back to it.
Everything sounds so good.
It's so good.
So here's the ultrasound. So it's not that crazy.
Here, even hit it here.
Yeah, this is in the chorus.
Like,
but
it's so cool.
In context, so the song is about somebody dying and then somebody going to a carnival to try and seek some kind of distraction. But when this comes in, it's like almost like a siren, but at the same time, it's very calm. So
You felt the sorrow really hit. So you're getting on the Ferris wheel to get closer to the...
And the sound evolves.
It's just so good. And then there's this moment kind of in the middle of it where there's like, I don't know what else it's clashing with, but there's this moment of like slight dissonance that occurs. So good. Yeah, we always end up at the very end adding like pads and little things. And this one, we really went for quite a toy boxy music box vibe because I'm obsessed with every sound. And this, the claustrophobic piano, has to be
the
my
best piano.
absolute favorite piano sound that I've ever found in my entire life. So we got very funky with this claustrophobic piano.
So these are
very
just
fun.
these are both claustrophobic pianos an octave apart, but this is what they sound like, and panned left and right.
And it's like soloed like this, right? You might be like, oh, it's kind of pitchy and it's kind of clunky, and you hear a lot of the clunks, but then
And he got a brand new car, drove it into the lake, turned it
So
into
nice, and
it
you
just
can.
adds a texture. It's lovely.
It does. You can mess with the levels of the pedal noises and the duk duk duks and all these little noises
so
happening.
good. And
so
this
you
is
can make
during
it
the
more clean.
build here, right? Or is this chorus?
This is at the very end,
Okay, here we
which
go.
has the
Oh.
claustrophobic pianos, but also has one of Decent Sampler's other top hits, which is the Confinement Celeste. Okay, so there's a band called Eels, and they're one of the best bands ever, I would say. And they use a lot of like childlike sounds, and they contrast them with like the darkest themes, or just like really dark tones. And so there's this Celeste that comes in at the end. And it's just so like sad in the context of everything.
And he got a brand new car, drove it into the lake, turned it into a submarine to make a great escape. And he left a shining star way up in the sky. It'll always be waiting there across the great divide.
Lovely. I love
Yeah.
that. That's so nice.
So good.
I think I remember when you came up with that ending like that.
Yeah, that, because I remember it was like the ending, we had everything still in going
yeah,
through. And even I remember that build was only half as long as it was, and it kind of dissipated out. And I was like, no, because I love when a song gets so crazy big and then just like drops. And I think I wanted to experience that at the end. And so originally we didn't have any of those toy instruments, and it just kind of went from like big end of the build to the guitars. And then we added those in, and I think we kind of just slowly, I was like, okay, take this out, take this out. And I think this
So
literally is
gorgeous.
one of my favorite endings of any song ever. It's just so good.
And then a few other cool Easter eggs. So these are the drums here. And something you might not have heard in the context of everything, which I think is really cool, is that we took the sound, because it's like all about cars. It's all about cars.
It's all about cars,
It's all
man.
about cars. Porsche,
Fast cars,
Ferrari, Lamborghini,
racing stripes,
Herbie.
big wheels.
So it's all about cars.
We obviously know nothing about cars.
And so we took the sound of a turn signal and put it in rhythm. A turn signal which most people don't seem to use here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, nobody uses their turn
So they might not be
signal.
familiar with that sound.
They just don't want to let us know where they're going or why they're randomly stopping
Yeah.
or slowing down in the middle of the road.
So if you live in Nashville, Tennessee, you might not recognize this sound. This is
Yeah.
the sound of a
Yeah.
turn signal on a car. And so
Roasted. Do you need some ice?
this is what that sounds like. You might be able to hear it very softly. Coming up.
Drove your car up to the carnival, bought the ticket.
And I just think that's a cool
Yeah,
addition. It's not
lovely.
like trying to stand out too much and be like, hey, I'm a turn signal, but it's just
Nice
adding
texture.
a little texture.
And it's just a cool little nugget, you know?
With the drums, the only interesting thing in terms of production is that these are Henry's original snares. I doubled that and I added a sample snare. But I automated the pitch of the snare sample throughout the whole song.
Just to give it a bit of like
variation in
Variation in
humanness,
character,
so it doesn't
yeah.
just sound like a sample. But it goes quite high, but in the context you don't really get that vibe.
You're spinning out and upside down.
You can't really hear this changing pitch, but you can feel it's not changing pitch.
I think it is like it's a funny thing to find a balance with, like, because I know it's earlier we're saying like if you don't hear it, don't have it, but I think it's like, you know, as we go through everything, there are things that maybe like add texture and you don't necessarily hear them prominently, but like it's something that we see like even back at school when we were looking through like these huge sessions like Ariana Grande sessions. The amount of helper sounds that they'd call that they would add to the drums were insane. Like there'd be like 10 kicks. There'd be like 10 snare sounds all layered on top of each other just to try and get that right thing. So I think it's like if you're using it as a means of like comboing to create like an overall sound, then it's like so essential, because I think without it you would hear the difference without it.
I think
You know
if
what I
you
mean?
can't hear it, it's not needed, but if you can hear when it's not there,
Yeah.
there's like a lot that's
Yeah,
like you don't
exactly. That
hear,
was
but
such a
then
good
if
way
you
to
take
say
it
it.
away,
Yeah.
you feel that something's missing.
Yeah. Because it adds such a nice texture. Like even as we're going through, like it's even like where the lyrics come in and like the phrase where it's like you kind of change that frequency and it gets a little bit higher. You do feel it adds this little sense of like,
Even if it's subliminal.
yeah.
And then a few other cool things. So in the chorus, there's something I absolutely love called a twiddle bus. And they're like little and they just tickle my ears so nicely.
And you recorded it with
This
an
is
acoustic. Yeah.
We have like a high strung acoustic, which if you don't know what that is, it's like on a 12-string acoustic guitar. No, normal guitar is 6 strings. On a 12-string, the strings are doubled, but the octave higher. So you take the octave higher set from a 12-string guitar pack, and you just put the high octave on a guitar, and then it sounds like very high, obviously. And that's what this sounds like. It's not super loud, but it's where it should be.
And he got a brand new car, drove it into the lake, turned it into
That's a nice sound, honestly. I think it's so good to have elements like this. Like even I would want to like double this. I'm such a fan of doubling things at the octave because I think it just gives things like depth and width and all of these different
I don't
things.
know what's double here.
Oh, no. I'm saying like I'm such a fan of like when you take like, let's say like this kind of guitar where you have just the high strings, like something I would love doing with that is like doubling a guitar part with that higher part. Because we tend to do that, right? Like when we have, if you're like, oh, I there's something that needs to be added, but a whole other melody isn't really it. Usually, if you have like a low piano part, just doubling that part the octave up, or like that's something that I do quite a lot.
Yeah, I like that too.
So like I think having like this element is so nice because you're adding in that acoustic guitar sound, but it's sitting in a completely different frequency space than the rest of the guitars. Because if you had tried to add this part in
at the same octave,
it would have just been lost. So it is like that is a really good tactic to like just like if a part's not working, lower it or raise it the octave and play it. And usually then as long as you put it in a frequency space that's not already crowded, that's I think the hardest part when you're mixing is finding the clarity for each instrument. And that's tons of EQ. There's even in something I wanted to mention before was in the Pro Q4, there's like a setting that it has where it actually shows you the frequencies of another instrument. So you can see where there's like clashes happening along the frequency spectrum. Use it. So good. It's so good to try and get that like clear frequency space. It's hard when you have a fully produced song like this, but even utilizing elements like that, like having that higher pitched guitar in there, it just makes such a difference. It really does.
It does indeed. And then the last cool part to look at is the build. So that's
said right now I can't feel anything, but somehow I feel fucking everything right now. I can't
So what's going on there? All these pink mountains you're seeing are I went crazy with phasey.
You're crazy, you're panicking. What's that? Yeah, it was a thing that I was doing where I was like, hey, why don't we, I don't think we
pan
used
the
it on
bass.
this song, but why don't we double record the bass and pan the bass? And Hugh looked at me like I was totally crazy. And I was like, you're crazy, you're panning your bassy.
You had to be there.
But do things like that. Like, I think like if there's like standard techniques that are used, but like double record your bass and pan it. Like, who gives a crap, you know?
I don't know.
Who
cares?
Who gives a rat's potato?
So there's
talk about
phases. Phase Mistress by Sound Toys I was using everywhere. And this pink mountain is the phase being automated, so you'll hear the drums start to get phased. It's almost like that.
Yeah, so nice. You can really hear it in the build if you put it in.
And then I'll put it in, but I'll just show all the phase instances.
So
the guitar is starting to automate phase. Okay.
Yeah, so good.
And then the vocals, look at that. They're getting phasey.
You're
phasey.
crazy, you're phasey.
Right now, I can't feel anything.
So everything, now in context, everything is phasing apart from the bass and the one lead vocal. And there's these cool electric guitars. So cool. And those are just straight the same guitar going into Danielle's Helix on like a roomy, bit crushy distortion thing.
I love my Helix.
And that sounds so good. All the plugins on there are just like little EQs and compressors, no effects. So in context, listen for all the phasing that's happening and listen to those nasty guitars.
Right now, I can't feel anything, but somehow I feel fucking everything.
And that just gave it like a
Yeah.
wash of movement and like, whoa, we're like in whoa land. And I really like that. And that honestly, apart from the very final thing, which is just the signal flow of all those tracks and how those are being routed, that's probably all the cool sounds, would you say?
No, this one was honestly so fun to work on. I think we if this is a testament to anything, it's do not be afraid to start over. It's such a frustrating thing. Like, I can't imagine being at that point of I've done 3 versions of a song. All my hair
So
would have been
annoying.
ripped out already. But I think it's like, look at that, like final result out of coming back and obviously like having me step in and just completely
I was gonna say
save the day.
it's a testament to your brain and your skills. And
No big deal. Just bring in the master if you need
you
it.
did. You saved
No,
the day.
it sounds so good. I think really this is just don't be afraid to start over with your stuff, because it should be. I think we tend to compromise a little bit too much for time's sake, and like we're lucky because we're recording everything at home on our own time. We're not having to like pay for a studio. Perks. But yeah, just don't be afraid to start over, because like it ended up so good. It sounds really incredible.
Thanks to you.
And it's like, even like I love going back through all this because like I forgot about some
Some
of this
little
stuff. Like
bits.
I forgot about some of these little tidbits, and even like, yeah, it ended up so great.
And hire women in the studio.
Hire women and just seek out, because like Hugh is someone who anytime I'm like, oh, I wonder what Hugh's doing, he's in some room watching some like, hey on YouTube, hey, what's up guys, we're gonna test out the so it's like, even in that process when you're trying to seek out like, other producers, because you even have learned a lot just like listening to other producers talk about their techniques and their kind of little like tips and tricks. Women, seek out
Listen
women to work
to
with.
Susan
Listen to
Rogers.
women. Yes. Who
Listen
else?
to Sylvia Massey.
Yes.
Listen to Adrian Lenker talk about songwriting.
Just seek out women who are producers, especially, you know,
Get
when
your
you're getting
record
tips and
produced by
tricks.
Danielle.
Yeah, get your record produced by me, because then it's gonna sound like this.
And the final thing, just like for fun, or not fun, depending on how you like things, is everything apart from the drums is rooted to this. This is the same on every song ever released. Is rooted to this parallel bus. This has a bus compressor. Sometimes it'll be like a Plug-in Alliance Townsend thing. Sometimes it'll be a glue thing. Sometimes it's this. Sometimes it's API 2500. But in this case, it's this doing like never more than like 3 dB.
Turn it into a submarine.
Just a
Everything.
to glue things together, but not the drums. I don't know why not the drums. I feel like I got this from like an Andrew Sheps video, and he said not the drums, and so I just listened and didn't question, and I've never changed it.
You don't ever question Andrew
No,
Sheps.
that's true. You don't ever question a guy
No,
with a big beard.
you don't.
Or
You
maybe
don't.
you do, actually. But not in this
yeah,
case.
maybe let's take
Yeah,
that back.
take that back.
You do question a man with a beard.
Yeah.
Just not Andrew Sheps.
No,
When he
that's
talks
true.
about music production.
And then the mix bus, which has everything going to it, is fairly simple. There's a True Iron Kazrog transformer emulation thing.
Kazrog!
I'll play the song without it, and I wonder if we'll hear the incredible difference it makes. And then with it, on headphones at least, it like makes things pop a bit more, brings things
really,
forward.
yeah.
Then there's a Pultec EQ doing the low end Pultec trick thing that just like boosts and attenuates, boosts and cuts like the low end at the same time, and it creates this curve that makes for nice low end and doing a little high end boosty. There's another bus compressor on everything doing minimal stuff, I would imagine. Hardly moving the needle. And then there is a mag EQ just adding like 0.5 dBs of high-end shelf. And then everything again is going to, on this master track, this is like my plugin of the year discovery, apart from P42 Climax and MHB Green and True Iron Kazrog, is this tape plugin 3348 tape from Mixland. This is an emulation of like a 90s digital tape machine that apparently at the time was considered to be like rubbish, like those digital tape machines. But for some reason, just on the preset Mixbus Magic, it in fact does add Mixbus Magic. So this is without it. Oops. And then with it. It's obviously making things a tiny bit louder, but it's also just gluing things together and changing the frequency shape a little bit.
Yeah, just giving
in a nice
clarity
way.
to things. Woo!
So that's
Well
that.
done to us.
It's been a pleasure.
Warmest regards. Warmest regards.
And everything's automated, lots of volume automation stuff to keep things alive. And yeah, I'll be doing more videos, so tune in. This was the first one, first attempt.
And if you need a song produced or you just need help songwriting it or vocal production or anything,
come to us.
Fairhazel, your friend Juniper will hook you up like a tow truck.
All right, guys. Bye.
See you later.